Welcome back to Through the Word and our 7 key chapters to introduce the Bible. We are in Genesis 12, and today I want to introduce you to someone. The Bible is a book of history and of heroes, but the strange thing is, most of the heroes and most of the history come from just one family line, the descendants of Abraham, a people called Israel. And so Bible key number 3 is Israel. Now you have to ask the question, why doesn't the Bible tell the story of the whole world? Well, the Bible is about God's plan for the whole world, but God chose to bring about that plan through one people, Israel. If you want to understand the Bible, you've got to understand Israel. Today we go back to the origin of this people. Israel starts with just one man, Abraham. Now there are 3 things you need to know about Abraham: faith, covenant, and God's big plan to save the world. Abraham's story begins in verse 1 of Genesis 12. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household, to the land I will show you." So God's first word to Abraham is go. Leave your country, leave your people, and go. We don't know all that much about where Abraham came from. We just know God told him to leave it. The Bible's full of journeys, crossing deserts, parting seas, climbing mountains, and around the world on the mission road. It seems that God's people are destined for a life of journey. I love it. There's something about a road trip. I think God loves a journey because a journey takes faith. Remember, faith is what made Abraham special. Now, faith does not mean believing in things that you have no evidence for. When my wife says, "I have faith in you," that doesn't mean that I'm her make-believe friend. It means she trusts me, she believes in me, and she'll follow me. And that faith means a lot. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to God. Abraham had faith in God. God called him to leave home for a land he'd never seen before. Abraham took God at his word. He trusted God, he believed in God, and he followed God. Faith. Hebrews 11 defines faith this way: faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. So faith was number 1, and number 2 is covenant. This is where Israel comes in. Back to Genesis 12 at verse 2. God says to Abraham, "I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." All right, so now we're getting somewhere. God's plan is bigger than just Abraham. Abraham would become a whole nation. That's Israel. Abraham's son is Isaac, and Isaac's son is Jacob, and Jacob becomes Israel. Most of the Bible centers around Israel, so this must be important. Why is Israel so important? Well, throughout the Old Testament, God says to Israel, "You will be my people, and I will be your God." It was a relationship, a covenant. That's an important Bible word. A covenant is a relationship bound by a commitment or promise. Israel had a covenant with God. Now, this is essential. Life with God is more than a belief, just like marriage is more than a feeling. Life with God is a commitment, a covenant between God and man. In fact, the Bible is a series of covenants. And that brings me to number 3. Remember, faith, covenant, and God's big plan to save the world. In verse 2, God promised to bless Abraham, but much more than that, he promised that Abraham would be a blessing. Blessing is a gift from God, a kindness, a bit of his grace given away. Now, I think the only thing better than being blessed by God is to be God's blessing to others. And in verse 3, God promises Abraham, "All peoples on earth will be blessed through you." Now, that's about as big as it gets, a blessing to the whole earth. Abraham doesn't get all the details, but you and I have the rest of the Bible. There's a lot I could say here. Just one thing matters for now. God explains later in Isaiah in a prophecy about one of the descendants of Israel. "I will also make you a light for the Gentiles, that you may bring my salvation to the ends of the earth." Faith, covenant, and God's big plan to save the world. Well, that's all for Bible key number 3. The door is open. Now go read Genesis 12 and get to know my friend Abraham. Actually, he's my great-grandfather. Well, very great. That's another story. If you want to dig deeper into the rest of Genesis, we have concise audio guides for every chapter on the Through the Word app and website. And I'll see you back here for key number 4, prophecy.